Hello everybody, a very tired Baltmatrix here, and the storms in my area have been keeping I and my family up every night for the past couple of nights, so yeah. Speaking of wet things, here is the last single C-Con. We are talking about Generation Select's C-Con's Turtler, otherwise known as Snaptrap here in the United States. Once again, this figure was provided to me by my good friend, Mr. Grimlockamus. Just follow him on Twitter and on Instagram. Just follow him. Just go say hi. Tell him Balt sent you. Give him a virtual hug. The box contains all of the kibbles and bits for Turtler. Turtler for Turtler. Guns, swords, hands, knees, toes, shields, chests, directions. Let's just dump him out and get on with it. Out of the box, our little amphibian doesn't look like any kind of turtle I've ever seen. He looks more like a repurposed Hunger that's been given a very bad rendition of a Gamera head. I do like the yellow of the eyes. And the mouth does open, and he's got a nice bright red tongue in there. It's a nice head. I like the turtle head, but it doesn't peg in. It just falls over. I really wish it pegged in. The overall aesthetic works okay, but it doesn't feel wide enough to me. And just like a real turtle, he can't roll over by himself. There is actually nothing in the directions that shows that you can mount literally every accessory onto the turtle mode, but you totally can. You can mount his dual toe launchers onto the back. You can mount his primary cannon into the middle, and then you can put the sword on top of that. Or you could just have him pointing the sword out the back. It doesn't really matter. But I do find it very strange that the directions don't show that you can actually mount all this hardware on him. Showing off his giant bazooka of a gun, there are 5 different ports on either side. And then there are 2 pegs at the top of the barrel, a peg in the back, a peg at the bottom of the hilt, and then a peg kind of in the midsection. That's where I mounted the sword. Speaking of the sword, it is pretty big, but it feels small for him. There is 1 peg coming off the the pommel, or no, the guard. This is the guard. This is the grip and pommel, or handle. And then on the other side of the guard is another peg. Each foot cannon has toes, and then cannons, and on the bottom of the guns that flip out to form, feet, there is a peg port on the bottom and a peg port in the back, and these are supposed to be used for the actual weapon modes of the different C-Cons. And then there is a ratchet forward and back, or I should say side to side, and there is ratcheting forward and back. And boy, let me tell you, those are tight. But I think that's a really good use of the feet. Would have liked it if the feet or the toes could somehow fold up, but it's fine. Turtler himself transforms by first coming to the back of the turtle mode and unpegging the shield, and just put that off to the side for right now. And then the directions say you're supposed to come and pull the cannons off. You don't really have to, but I'm just going to follow the directions here. And then take the arm, or the rear legs, fold them straight out, with the rear legs straightened out, grab the toes and flip them around to reveal the fists, like that. Flip the figure onto its back, grab the head and fold it all the way up and down. Take the entire arm and head sections like that, grab them, fold them up, turn them 180 degrees, and then flip them up and peg them into place right there. But first, I like to fold the legs in and peg them into place. They don't peg in tightly, but that's probably just because I have things lined up wrong. Then peg that into place. Then you can take the back of the figure and fold it down, open it up, and flip out Turtler's robot head. If you could get your darn fat thumb in there, or my fat thumb in there, and close that up. Close the head up. And then grab these sections on the sides, flip them out, fold the feet down, fold these teal sections down, and then straighten the legs out. And do the same thing on the other side. And just stand Turtler up. Now that you've got the figure stood up, I like to put the arm out a little bit. Oh! And turn those arms around, and then just stand him up again and get his legs situated so that you can start adding on kibbles and bits. So the first bit of kibbles and bits are the cannons that go over top his shoulders and onto the back. Next bit is the shield, and you got this big peg hole right there, and that'll go right onto the giant peg on the forearm, like that. And you could give him his sword. I prefer the right hand. And then you could give him his gun. I prefer the left hand. The robot mode we end up with is really kind of cool. I like the colorings, I like the overall feel of it, and the posability is great. There's just one major weakness, which we'll talk about in a minute. The overall aesthetic for this guy is just good, and man, he just looks so beefy and tough and just really cool. I really do like him quite a bit. Head sculpt is excellent. It just is so nice. The silver works, the yellow is painted nicely, and the black of the head just work incredibly well. It's really nice looking. Now let's get into the posability, which is the Achilles heel a little bit. Pun is intended there. Head is on a ball joint and can only look down that much and can only look up that much. You heard the ratchets in the shoulders, and the ratchets in the shoulders swivel just above the elbow, and you would think there would be ratcheting in the elbows, but there isn't. There just isn't. It looks like there should be, though. No torso swivel. Hips are ratcheted forward and back. Thigh swivel. Bend at the knees. The legs are exactly the same as Hunger or Cyclonus or Silverbolt. Now, this is where the real problems start, are the feet. The toes are on a ball joint that are not nearly tight enough, and these swivels or hinges, who cares? They're hinges, I think, are not tight enough. They're not strong enough to hold up the figure. And the figure, with all of his armor, all of his stuff, is quite heavy. It's easily heavier than any of the other any of the other C-Cons by themselves. Now, the figure can wield the cannons that are on his back with no real issues other than top heaviness. And one thing I forgot to show you in the turtle mode is they do extend. And in turtle mode, which when we get to the end of the review, we'll talk about the turtle mode again, these look better extended. The figure is a little bit odd in the fact that he doesn't have a lot of actual ports to peg into. He's got these three on his back, he's got one on his butt, then his hands obviously can hold something. He's got these outward pegs that are on the outside of his forearms, then nothing on the legs unless you come in and flip these sections around. Now, these sections were what the turtle cannons were originally pegged into in the turtle mode. So there are those, and then you would think there'd be something on the bottom of the feet. There's nothing. Nothing at all, except these square plugs, which are used specifically in the transformation because they attach to these square pegs right there on the hips. Now, for this review, I'm actually going to forego transforming him into the torso mode. I'm going to cover that when we talk about the entire combined mode. But the one funny thing about this is Piranicon's, or King Poseidon, or whatever the heck you want to call him, his giant robot head is in the Turtler's butt. So, just in case you were wondering. So, open the back up, close that back again, flip the head back, come down to the feet, fold the toes back into the back of the legs. Turn them, flip them up so that they can peg into place. Oh, and flip the blue panels up if you didn't, because if you don't, then this isn't going to work. Fold these down, and they will peg together like that. Super tight ratchets. Super tight ratchets. Grab the turtle legs, fold them out from the chest, turn around 180 degrees, flip down, and fold the turtle legs up, and then they will peg into place. Flip the head up, and then flip that little panel up so that you can peg both the peg and the larger peg into the butt. Grab your cannons and extend them, and then peg them into the peg holes that are on the back of the turtle mode. It actually requires a good bit of force to move those cannons. So there we go. We're back in turtle mode. Oop, that head fell down again. So what do I think? Little complicated. No, don't get me wrong. I actually like Turtler quite a bit. I think he's fun, I think it's interesting, and I think it's a good rendition of Turtler, but it doesn't feel like a turtle. It's a very... Okay, let me rephrase that. I don't think this is a really great rendition of that original figure. It's close enough, for sure, though. I don't like the super tiny feet in the front, but I understand why they had to do this. I think it's a little bit disproportioned in turtle mode, but it's not awful by any stretch of the imagination. So folks, let me know what you think of the figure down in the comments. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow me over on Twitter. Follow the link down in the description to my Patreon page, and give my buddy Grimlockamus a follow on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Baltmatrix, and I'll catch you next time.